Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our council meeting for August 24th, 2021. So welcome. It's good to be back. We had a little bit of break, and I hope everybody had a nice little summer vacation. And I want to thank all the staff who've backfilled for people behind their positions, their roles, and their jobs during the summer. It's never easy, but I can tell you I'm hearing good things from our residents, council, that the level of service continued just as well during this past couple of months. So welcome back, everybody, to our meeting. And I'll now accept a motion, please, for tonight's agenda. Moved by Councillor Fry and seconded by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Contrary-minded and carried. July 27th, 2021 notes are before you, minutes, I should say. We need to have them reviewed prior to a motion for any accuracies or inaccuracies, I should say. Hearing none, I'll call for a motion, please, to move the minutes from July 21st, I think it was. 27th. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Moved by the Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councillor Antle. All in favor? Contrary-minded and carried. Thank you much. Any business arising, Council? Yes, please, Councillor Fry.
Item number 425, just wondering if there is an update available for the public on our registered sex offender.
Our CAO, please.
The latest I heard is that he is still in custody and that there's a bail hearing being scheduled for him, but I wouldn't be able to confirm the actual date.
And I can add that the hearing today was postponed until tomorrow. Any further business arising from the minutes of July 27? All right, moving right along, we have a proclamation, council, from the Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder Organization for Newfoundland and Labrador, and I shall read it. Whereas fetal alcohol spectrum disorder is a diagnostic term used to describe impacts on the brain and body of individuals prenatally exposed to alcohol. FASD, as it is known, is a lifelong disability. Individuals with FASD will experience some degree of challenges in their daily living and need support with motor skills, physical health, excuse me, learning, memory, attention, communication, emotional regulation, and social skills to reach their full potential. Each individual with FASD is unique and has areas of both strengths and challenges. Whereas FASD NL is a pan-provincial organization that educates, provides supports and resources, and raises awareness about fetal alcohol spectrum disorder in Newfoundland and Labrador, and as well in Atlantic Canada. And whereas MOVE for FASD is held across the province to mark FASD Awareness Week. And whereas FASD Awareness Week is devoted to raising awareness of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder to improve prevention of FASD and the diagnosis and support for individuals with FASD, and broad public awareness always helps to put FASD on the map. Therefore, I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, on behalf of members of council, I do hereby proclaim September 6th to the 10th as Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder Awareness Week in the city of Mount Pearl. And I'm going to sign that today with my signature, and I look forward to presenting this back to the association, which is in Grand Falls, Windsor. Council, any comments or anything further you may wish to add? Would you like to take a picture? Who's going to take the picture? Do you want all of council? All of council? I'll stay here if you guys would come up, if that works for you. I think you folks should have your masks on because you're on the other side of the glass. I should be okay. Well, yeah. Something like this. Broccoli. That's what our family always says. Thank you very much. Final thoughts on this proclamation, Council? Anybody? Hearing none, let's move on to the Corporate Services and Economic Development Committee. Councillor Antle, please.
Your Worship, I only have a few here to go for tonight. Invoices for approval first. You see in your kit there are 15 in total for a total of $1,055,338.05. And you can see a few of them, like number 2 is for the August Regional Fire Services. So, you know, Mount Pearl does pay their fair share in the regional services for $460,626.42. And also tipping fees there for the City of St. John's for $62,335.56. And another one there for waste flow for the City of St. John's from January to March for $144,042.69. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Antle and seconded by Councillor Fry. Thank you. Any comments or any questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
And the payment register for July 22nd to August the 12th. And these are always on our website, all our payments to pay. And you'll see them every time you want to go take a look at these. And they're total for $3,871,847.19. And you can see them all in your kit. Same thing. Number 1 there is the City of St. John's for $972.59. $972,591.84. And you can see through these. And I so move. I'll move just for your information.
No motion required.
Oh. Good. And number 3 is the request for a tax consideration. And the committee recommends approval for the 2021 business tax for the Canadian Herald of Hearing Association for a total of $10,006.08. And this is something that we do all the time. This is not out of the normal. This is for nonprofit charitable organizations. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Antle and seconded by Councillor Fry again. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Carried.
And moving forward, number 4, it's a tax deferral for low-income earners. And this is just a tax deferral. The taxes will be paid eventually. And this is something that we do all the time. And this is for a total of $1,895.98. And I so move.
Again, moved by Councillor Antle, seconded by Councillor Fry. Thank you very much. All in favor? Aye. And contrary-minded? Carried. Thank you.
Great bunch to spend money anyhow. So. And number 5 is our ultimate recipient gas tax. And you might have read about this in the news a little while ago that we had an increase in our gas tax. And this is something that we certainly need within the city, and we always make use of that. The total funding for the City of Mount Pearl for years 2019 to 2024 was $7,200,095. And that basically gives us an increase for the years 2021 to 2022. Is that correct, Director Pittman? For $978,462. And this is really good news for us. And I'm sure we're going to take advantage of that money. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Antle, seconded again by Councillor Fry. Very good news. And I think it's Councillor Fry from the very good work of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Very much so. So it represents pretty much a doubling of the gas tax for this fiscal year. And I know all municipalities in Canada are working hard together to ensure in the long run, the gas tax gets permanently doubled. That is the FCM goal. Yeah. Any further comments or questions? I'll call the question. This is an easy one to vote for, folks. All in favor? Aye. And those opposed? And carried. Thank you.
You won't vote against that one.
No.
And that's everything from this committee, Your Worship.
Okay, we have the Infrastructure and Public Works Committee, Deputy Mayor Locke, and I know Councillor Councillor Antle will be seconding today.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. And I want to thank my colleagues who stepped in while I was away on a 2-week staycation across our beautiful province. So I appreciate my colleagues for stepping in and taking over my role while I was away. The first item, Your Worship, discussed at committee had to do with the Old Placentia Road asphalt renewal 2021. And this has to do with a proposed change order for additional work under this particular program. The RFP for the Old Placentia Road asphalt renewal closed on June the 17th of 2021 and was awarded to Modern Paving. The amount there was $461,840, including HST. And what Engineering Service proposed to the committee is to utilize the $69,777.75 of budget savings in the gas tax allotment for this project, used as a change order to complete additional required asphalt upgrades at the intersections between Richard Nolan Drive and Commonwealth Avenue. And this will include repairs to cracked and settled asphalt, which is leading to deterioration and is also impacting proper drainage in the area. So engineering service recommended that to committee, and committee is supporting that recommendation. Again, we're recommending to approve the change order, number 1, to Modern Paving in the amount of $69,777.75, and I so move.
It is moved by the deputy mayor and seconded by Councillor Antle. Any questions? Any thoughts? I'm already hearing it, folks, knocking on the doors with the road on Old Placentia. When will it be done? But they're very happy that it's getting done. People like pavement. They don't like when it's being laid, but I think that's only a natural reaction. But I think this is all a great piece of work. So congratulations to all, and yeah, happy navigating throughout our city as we rebuild our city and invest in it further.
Well, a short-term pain, isn't it? We know that. And at the end of it, we'll have upgraded infrastructure, and that's what we're all about here.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Yep,
Thank you. Well
indeed.
done. I'll call the motion. All in favor? Contrary-minded and carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. The second item for our committee involves the Topsail Road storm sewer and outfall upgrading. I'm sure we've all traversed there and seen the extensive construction work that's being carried out there. The committee was previously advised that the contract was awarded to the lowest qualified bidder, Dexter Construction Limited. And the bid amount for this particular project is $861,754.92. So a sizable piece of work here. That includes HST. And CBCL Limited is the engineer of record for the project. And they have advised costing to perform contract administration and the inspection for the budget. So the contract administration is for $18,917.50 and record drawings $5,554.50. So engineering services recommended to the committee, and the committee is in support of this recommendation, that the pricing for contract administration and record drawings be accepted and a change order be issued to CBCL in the amount that I just stated, $24,472, including HST, and I so move.
Again, moved by the deputy mayor and thankfully moved by Councillor Antle. Any thoughts, questions? Councillor Antle, please.
Just a quick note on that. I see we're working on Topsail Road and I'm getting a few calls here and there. When do we think we're going to have that finished or completed?
Good question.
Are we there yet?
The work on Topsail Road should be finished on the Topsail Road portion itself within about 2 or 3 weeks. There's an extensive work that's required here to rebuild the storm sewer outfall that leaves Topsail Road towards the river. That's the substantial piece of the work that's still underway, and that will continue likely up through October. But the work on Topsail Road itself within the next couple of weeks.
Well, do you think it'll be done by back to school? That was one of the questions.
It unlikely will it be done by back to school.
Yeah.
So the work, of course, is pending weather as well. So there could be some impacts of weather.
And is there any, like, I know it's time and it's a contract. Is there any way they can put in extra hours because of coming back to school, like on Sundays or something like that, so we don't be in the middle of the back to school?
We could speak to the contractor on that. Bear in mind, that'd be at premium because that's outside of their schedule pursuant to what they did to us. So they have a schedule to perform and they're in accordance with that right now.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, I would not anticipate. I think the best we can expedite right now is in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
I'm just kidding. I was just had a call, and that's the only reason I'm asking is that people are asking for back to school and Miracle in the World, and there's going to be extra traffic going in that route. And they were concerned of whether that's going to back up traffic on that area.
Yeah. I think what we could do is we could speak to the contractor about reducing in the morning traffic and the afternoon traffic to try to actually curtail some of the heavier work in the morning periods.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the key time is going to be in the morning as people from some of the newer subdivisions on northwest of Topsail Road have to get down to Mary Queen of World, to your point, Councillor. And then they got to come down, say, Mount Carson, Moffat, or Feral, but they've got to go back towards Mary Queen of the World. So it would be nice if some preference was given to the buses. But then again, there's going to be a lot of families driving cars too. And there's going to be a lot of people going back to university and back to high school. I suspect there's going to be a lot of cars on the road, but yeah, the buses will stand out and perhaps our flag people can help them along.
Valid comments there, Your Worship, and Councillor Antle. And we've had this discussion, many times, over the years. about scheduling and we even looked at, for example, when we think back to the work we did on Commonwealth Avenue and that was a major upgrade to our infrastructure there, about nighttime construction, and all these are possible, but it comes at a cost.
Yes.
You'll have to pay more for that. And, it's all a balance, isn't it? It's about, we're trying to maximize our financial resources to get as much upgrade as we can to our infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and they're valid points. And I think the mayor is touching on an important point as well, whether or not there's road work anywhere in the city. The fact that people are returning to the reality of going back to work in September. So you're going to see more people returning to their place of employment, more children going or students going to Memorial University and our trades colleges, more people on going to high schools. They're going to be driving. So without this construction, we are going to see a change in human behavior. So there is going to be some increased frustration because it's not the norm now. People aren't used to this waiting and backlog. So I would just reach out and encourage people, to practice courtesy, to practice, some manners while you're driving. And who knows, maybe this backup on the traffic may be a safety issue. It may slow down traffic in the school zones when all these kids are super excited now going back to school. So it may actually work in our favor. I know people will be frustrated.
They're reinventing calm.
They're reinventing calm. Yep, it's traffic calming. But all valid points. Yeah.
But Deputy Mayor, further to that about the nighttime operation or paving construction, when it's all said and done, we have to think about the locations. And many of our streets, even in commercial districts, are not far from residential houses.
Mm-hmm.
And at 12 o'clock at night or 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, a bit of loud noise in the wrong area can easily bounce around our fair city. Can you imagine the disruption to people's sleep and peace and quiet in the dead of night? If just a little ways down the road, there's a paver working or there's a shovel going bang, 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 bang as it knocks out the rocks, right? So,
or the beeping on the excavator or the front end loader,
just think about that.
Yeah.
It's, the only place I see in the city where it's really would be practical, the cost aside, would be Donovan's, which is typically those commercial areas are a bit further away from the rest of our residential housing.
Mm-hmm.
So all good points.
Yeah.
And did we call the motion?
I don't think we did.
I think we debated. I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded, carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. The third item for us is a recommendation to enter an agreement, and this is with respect to high-vis or high-visibility clothing issue. The city's previous RFP agreement with a vendor for select high-vis clothing items had expired, and the committee of the whole supported the issuance of an RFP for these items. The committee was advised that the RFP, request for proposal, for this clothing issue for the Department of Infrastructure and Public Works closed on May the 4th for select items to be purchased over a 2-year period. And it's noted that quantities purchased may increase from the RFP estimates, of course, depending on actual usage. 5 bids were received from 3 vendors, which have now been reviewed, and the department is recommending the contract be awarded to the lowest qualified bidder, Campbell's Ships Supplies, for the bid amount of $23,151.83, including HST. And it's noted here, Your Worship, that the bid amount was $23,152.06, but there was a minor error rounding adjustment, and the correct amount based on the extended unit prices is what I quoted, $23,151.83. And in the interest of time, the matter was referred to the committee of the whole via email on August the 3rd. And we're recommending that we proceed with awarding this contract for the staff to proceed immediately, and that we agree that we would bring this to our next public council meeting for ratification. And that's what we are doing right here. So again, the recommendation is to enter into a 2-year RFP agreement regarding the provision of specific high-vis clothing items to the lowest qualified bidder, Campbell's Ship Supplies, in the bid amount of $23,151.82, including HST. And this is within operating budgets. And this is now brought forward for ratification. And I so move.
Again, moved by the Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councillor Antle. Thoughts or questions? Pretty routine item, I think.
Yep.
Large expenditure, but well thought out through a competitive bidding process. I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Carried.
Great. And that is it for our committee, Your Worship. I thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we're going to move on to the Community Development Report. Community Development Committee Report. Councillor Fry, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. First on our agenda this evening is the second installment for the 2021 operating grant for Admiralty House Museum. The committee recommends approval to release the museum's second installment of $45,000 of the 2021 operating grant as per the memorandum of understanding with the city. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Fry, seconded by Councillor Antle. All in favor?
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? Carried.
Okay, next we have a front yard landscaping variance for 9 Pinware Crescent. So the committee recommends that a variance for the reduction in the required landscape frontage, the total frontage of the property is 15.25 meters, which is 50 feet. And the landscape frontage shall not be less than 6.85 meters, which is 22.5 feet at 9 Pinware Crescent. So we recommend it be approved subject to the conditions set out by the Department of Community Development. So the background information related to this file on 9 Pinware Crescent is attached here for your reference. And without getting into everything that's here, I will read the recommendation, and that is the Department of Community Development has processed this variance request application as per section 4.17 of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010. The department has reviewed the application submitted by John Murray to reduce the requirement for 50% landscape frontage and recommends approval, and that a development permit be issued subject to the conditions set out by the Department of Community Development, specifically the conditions as outlined below, which are the City of Mount Pearl Inspection Services, Finance, Planning, and Engineering Services Division, and the City of Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 and all related requirements. So all of the information and the map here is available in your kit if you have any further questions. And if not, I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Fry, seconded by Councillor Antle. Any thoughts, questions?
Pretty routine.
I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, Councillor.
Okay, next, the committee recommends that the following development permits be approved as presented. Now, this is for a period of July the 26th to August the 20th. And as you can see below, there are 2 here. One is for site improvement and auxiliary building, which is for associated storage. And the other one is a variance for an accessory building. And I so move.
Again, moved by Councillor Fry, seconded by Councillor Antle. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
Next, the committee recommends that the building permits issued for the period of July the 26th to August 20th, showing a total construction value of $1,416,400 be approved, and further that the occupancy permit list here be accepted as presented. And as you can see here, we have a lot of activity.
That was busy, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's been a busy summer.
So you're moving the development permit first?
I am.
All right, thank you very much. So those moved by Councillor Fry, second by Councillor Randall, all in favor? Contrary-minded, carried.
And that is it for our Community Development Committee this evening.
Thank you very, very much. And I just want to make just to double check with the clerk, do you need a motion on the building permits as well? Because I may have said development permits. Yeah, so again, moved by Councillor Fry, second by Councillor Randall, all in favor. And thank you very much, Council. Thank you, Councillor Fry. And I believe that comes to the end of our agenda. So based on past practice, the first person to speak today on the roundtable is Councillor Antle, please.
Your Worship, I only have 3, but 2 may take longer than I had planned. But anyhow, the first one I want to do is start it off slow. Is last week we had 2 young children here in Mount Pearl decided to do a fundraiser for their food bank. And I think that's amazing that these two kids, 13 years old, gave up their own time. It was Alexander Taylor and Claire Hutchings. And they decided, they promoted it on Facebook. And they did a fundraiser on their lawns. They played music, and all the food that was donated, they gave it to the food bank. You know, it's amazing that when you see we're in good shape, when you see 2 children such as these 2 out donating, giving up their time and doing this. And Alexander has done this before. And it's great to see them out able to do this, and they enjoyed it too, you know, and I think we have to keep them in mind. And I think, well, I torment Alexander. I think one of these days he's going to be in your chair, Your Worship. So it's only a matter of time.
Yep, it's a comfortable chair and it's
Yeah.
open to anybody who would like to have the job.
And and there you go, in 14 years. And our second one, in the past couple of weeks, it's becoming more and more of an issue. And I live down the area, so it's Team Guju and Park Avenue, Smallwood Drive in particular. And I think that, our residents are asking us, what are we going to do with Team Guju and what are we going to do with Smallwood Drive? And we're all hearing this is nothing new. And what I hear and what I'm after hearing now, I believe it's Team Guju has been dumped on Mount Pearl. All this traffic, they're doing 80 kilometers, and all of a sudden they come down Park Avenue and they get bottlenecked into a 50-kilometer zone. And that 50-kilometer zone then continues up till they get up to Team Guju, till they get on the other side of Park Avenue or Commonwealth Avenue, and they're gone again. But the residents on Smallwood Drive and Park Avenue are putting up with this, and it's going to get worse. As COVID keeps on, it gets looser and looser, the traffic is going to get worse. And I think, as a council, we're have to do everything we possibly can. We're putting in calming lanes, we're looking at traffic, we reduced our RNC on our lanes, we have a municipal enforcement down there, we're doing everything we possibly can. But I really think it's time that we have to get the provincial government to step up. We have to get our MHAs. We have Pauline. I saw Pauline on radio the other day, or I heard him on the radio. I saw him on TV, but MHA Lucy Stolz, she knows exactly what's happening. I think we should send a letter to MHA Stolz. We should send a letter to the provincial government and stating that this is getting worse. Our roads are being torn up on Park Avenue and our residents are being tortured. I mean, I go down there and now on Park Avenue from Park Place to the lights, it's always backed up in the morning and people can't get out of their driveways. I was on Smallwood Drive the other day, and from Smallwood Drive down to the Team Guju complex was backed up again. So I don't know what else, but the residents are upset. And I'm telling them, it's not us, it's the provincial government. We have to get after them because that Team Guju is never going to be completed. And I think we have to let them know, the provincial government, they have to fix this road. It's not getting any better and it's going to continue to get worse. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Councillor Antle has said, and again, speaking with some of the residents, in the Smallwood Drive area and in that general area. I mean, we did a traffic count before they connected the Team Guju down to Topsail Road to tie into Park Avenue. So I'd be interested to see, and I'll request, our staff to have a look in that to see that. I know we spoke with the minister at the time. Beforehand, council members went out and spoke to the minister, and they were aware that there was going to be increased traffic. But at the time, it was going to be short-lived because the plans were to continue and complete the Team Guju Highway right over into the Robert E. Howlett, which then will bypass all of the roads in Mount Pearl. And yes, the residents are frustrated. It's not necessarily a speeding issue because we did a data analysis with some COVID radar, and I mean, tens of thousands of vehicles went down road, and the data at the time indicated that I think the average speed was 48, so it was 2 kilometers under the posted speed limit. But I think what the problem is now is the sheer volume of traffic. To your point, Councillor Antle, that's coming through there. And it all goes back to the fact that Team Guju has not been completed when it was supposed to be completed. So, and my concern is it's the wear and tear. We're doing, I mean, you can see the major tear up on our asphalt on Park Avenue because it was never meant for that volume of traffic. So we're getting premature deterioration in our asphalt there, which is a huge cost to the residents of Mount Pearl. And also, you're right about the increased traffic. So yes, the ultimate solution is to finish Team Guju. Because to your point, a lot of this is flow through traffic, that they're coming down Park, up Smallwood, then up Commonwealth, tying into the Team Guju Highway. But in the interim, I mean, given the fiscal state of the province, and it could be 5 to 10 years before they finish that Team Guju Highway. So it now rests with us, this council, and our residents to deal with this. So it's not like we've been sat on our hands. To your point, we've looked at options. I know our staff have done a great job in researching viable options for traffic calming. And we've taken some measures in other parts of the city where we've had these bump outs. We did it on Sunrise Avenue that calms traffic. We did a bump out there down by the Park Place where the T Railway crosses. They're all traffic calming measures. We just put in some barricades on Park Avenue at the intersection with Smallwood because people were treating it as a 2-lane and posing. So we've increased our MEO presence down there. And we are, after this meeting, we are going to look at some options that our staff has brought forward. So ultimately, it's to complete the Team Gushu Highway. But until that time, we have to put measures in place. And that may be reducing the speed limit, because the thinking might be that if you reduce the speed limit, if it's slower, yes, it's going to cause more congestion, but that will force people to find an alternative method, an alternative path. So maybe it's, instead of coming down the Team Gushu, maybe they go out the Outer Ring Road and connect into the Robert E. Howlett Drive that way. So we can reduce the speed limit. We can put in traffic calming measures. We can put in speed humps or speed bumps. We're investigating all the options here. So we're relying on expertise with traffic consultants before. We don't want to just, quickly knee-jerk reactions, implement some measures that could cause potential harm, potential accidents, potential liabilities to the city. So as always, we use a systematic, data-driven approach here to this, and that's what we've done to this date. We've brought in measures that we could, but now we're doing research to find out some immediate responses that we can take, and then some that may be of a more long-term nature. So valid points, and I'm glad you raised the issue here tonight. Thank you, Your Worship.
Yeah, and Mount Pearl was planned with Team Gushu in mind, right? Because the roadways in Mount Pearl never really segregated Park Avenue or Smallwood. Is what they call, collector roads, certainly not main roads. So with that in mind, the traffic is that flows through the city of Mount Pearl. The main roads are Topsail Road, Commonwealth, Mount Carson, Old Placentia Road. Park was always just meant for people who drove through that neighborhood, and Smallwood really is an extension of that. But not having Team Gushu finish, unfortunately, creates this conundrum that we're in. But ultimately, the solution is to ensure that Team Gushu gets finished, and we'll be working with the provincial government on that in that regard. But the other side of it too is that we've got to make sure that that people are aware and we allocate the traffic within the city. So Topsail Road is the obvious choice. If you're headed to the Goulds or down the Southern Shore, typically what we would have planned for is you would take Topsail Road and go out to either the Paradise area and hook up to the highways out there, or you'd never get that far. Somewhere, say out in St. John's, if you're coming from the West End, you might take Brookfield Road, or you might go down to the Harbourfront and take Pitts Memorial Inn. So that's really the issue we've got. We're not in a position really to widen the roads on Park or Smallwood. And on top of that, they're not typical what we'd see on a collector road, which is no streets, which is no houses. Typically, like on Ruth Avenue, you'd see the rear ends of houses, so to speak. So with that in mind, I think the planning that's gone into the city of Mount Pearl to make us really a great city when it comes to traffic management has been disrupted by this. Unfortunately, to your point, Deputy Mayor, the solution is long-term down the road. Yes. And that's the unfortunate part. But Director, is there any way that some of the traffic coming off Team Gushu could be directed more into Topsail Road as opposed to Park and Smallwood?
Your Worship, there's a number of ways to address this. And I think all of your comments thus far reflect the plan is for Team Gushu to be complete. And that's a ramp that's coming down from Team Gushu onto Topsail Road. That's the plan. So right now you do have a lot of traffic coming through. There is ways and means. It does require analysis. Some of that involves things like the traffic signal design. That's at Topsail Road from the Team Gushu. That types of analysis we're in the midst of right now, actually. We work with the province as well through the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, because they have, it's their highway. So they have responsibility working with us on that. So we do have measures that we are recommending the council to take on Smallwood Drive at this point. And as the Deputy Mayor has indicated, we're ready to discuss that after this meeting today and start some implementation.
Good. Any further comments? Councillor Antle.
Just a quick note. I mean, it still goes down to the point. I know we're doing something here in the city, and I understand all your points, and we need Team Gushu fixed. And I was talking to MHA Lane, and he told me that there was some federal funding in place that dried up. And he said the city, the province can take advantage of some 50 cent dollars. And he said that's where we have to go. So I think we need our MHAs on board, and maybe we need to get our MP on board. We got to let them know and stress how important that Team Gushu is for the city of Mount Pearl. You know, we can't, we're doing all we can, but it's a bottleneck, you know, and they have to fix it. And if we keep on bumping up the traffic, and like the mayor was saying, traffic is going to be diverted somewhere else. You know, on Park Avenue, there's 300 homes, and on Smaller Drive, there's 250 homes. I mean, that's a lot of children, a lot of people crossing that road, and we got to try to save them. So I think we need to get after the MHA or the MPs to finish Team Gushu. And if we don't do it, it's like it's a road to nowhere. Like I heard the minister a little while talking that he didn't know when the road was going to be completed, but it has to be done. I mean, that's, and I don't know what else to say anymore. You know, right. We can't talk about this till next year. One
other point, Your Worship, and was because we talked about the volume of traffic, but speeding is also an issue. And I know council has talked about this as well. And it's my understanding that the province has undertaken a pilot for photo radar because, you know, we can implement speed limits, but we can lower speed limits. But the key to that then is enforcement. Now we have municipal enforcement officers here to do a fine job, you know, upholding our bylaws and regulating traffic, but they can't be everywhere all the time. So I know we brought this up on council many years back, Your Worship, and we cannot bring in photo radar until provincial legislation is passed. So it's my understanding that the province is looking at this, and that may help curb some of the speeding issues where you can implement photo radar, and those people that they're deciding to break the speed limit will receive notification in the mail and a ticket in the mail. So that may be another enforcement measure. That's another enforcement measure that we're certainly exploring around the council table. So it's not like these speeding issues and traffic issues, you know, we're covering our ears and covering our eyes and not looking into them. We have been taking, you know, actions to try to mitigate and improve the safety in our city. So hopefully that photo radar, the pilot project, comes through and we can look at that as a possibility, you know, for our city moving forward. Thank you, Your Worship.
You're very welcome. Final thoughts, Councillor Antle, unless Councillor Fry wants to jump in with any comments. I'll get Councillor Antle to close debate. He really wasn't making a motion, but I do think he started the conversation. Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Worship. I agree with everything that was said. I mean, there's not really much more to add. The problem is that we have this highway that is incomplete and it dumps a volume of traffic into a residential neighborhood. And while I understand that there are fiscal and other issues in terms of finishing the highway, we still have to look out for our residents. So we have to take whatever measures we can in the interim. It's unfortunate that we're in this situation, but if it's going to be 4, 5, 6 years down the road, we can't wait that long. We have to do something.
Yeah, we do.
So I'm looking forward to the further discussion this evening as to what options we are. I mean, maybe if we make it so slow going through Park Avenue and Smallwood that commuters might choose a different route. I don't know, but we have to take some action at this point. So that's all I just wanted to say.
Okay, well said. Yeah, I think we really have to advocate on behalf of our residents. They're experiencing it. And through no fault of their own, they've gone from some 2 streets that was really fairly quiet and peaceful to noise, speed, and intensity. And yeah, it's a bit too much. Councillor Antle, let's finish it off.
Well, that's it. I hope that we can get something done on Team Gushu, and hopefully the powers that be are listening and we'll do something, and we'll continue on doing that way. My third and final thing to talk about is we're usually a little bit quicker. Tonight it'll be a little bit longer, I'm sure. All right. And I want to talk about access to information requests that the city received. And this access to information that the city receives is in relation to our former CAO, our 2 councillors that are no longer with us, the CAO investigation, and the mayor investigation that happened last year. And I want to elaborate on these a little bit more. And the city today has released all costs of all legal fees that has incurred since launching in November 2019 investigation into these allegations. I want to talk about this a little bit thoroughly. And one of these, as we release these information, we're not really releasing these. These are always public, and we always talk about these in every public meeting. And when these meetings came forward, our legal bills I would always expand on what the legal fees were. And this has been ongoing since 2019. This is not new. The access to information was given freely by the city. So there was no secrecy behind this. Several actions have since followed since 2019, which caused these legal fees to rise. As of December 31st of 2020, the city of Mount Pearl spent over $512,000 on legal fees. These costs relate to allegations of misconduct by the former CAO and former councillors and the continued investigation and the legal process. These allegations have been well documented in the public domain. As a public body, we as the city, we have the obligation to respond appropriately and with due diligence to complaints received. This is a complex process. However, the simple fact is that we as an employer, we must be respectful and cognizant of the impact of this investigation on our employees. As a municipality, we must be cognizant of the impact it has on our taxpayers. If there are any other additional actions related to these matters, we will continue to make these costs public to ensure transparency. We always have and always will. The city is anxious to bring this matter to a conclusion and to receive a report from the investigator in coming weeks. I'd like to break down these fees that we talked about. In 2019 to 2021, there was a notice of appeal for Councillor Andrea Power and Andrew Ledwell. That appeal has cost so far to date $54,062.11. The current CAO investigation is still ongoing, and so far to date, it has run $231,372. Last year, we had a dismissal of the CAO and councillors, including a wrongful dismissal claim. That so far has cost the city $162,637.66. We also last year had an investigation into the mayor, which was completely cleared. There was no charges and was nothing found. And that cost of the city $54,087.38. There was other consultant fees that we had to use. We had to bring in outside consultants to make sure this was fair and clear. And that cost us $10,522.50 for a grand total of $512,681.65. As you can see, we've been pretty clear. The city had to defend our staff, and this is how it works. All right, we'll continue to make these transparent and clear. These are released today by the city, but they were always available on our website at any time. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much for the comments, Deputy Mayor.
Your Worship, thank you. Councillor Antle, summarized everything here, and he stressed the point that, as an employer, when, serious allegations are brought forth, we are obligated under our legislation and our policy to act. And that's exactly what we did. And out of respect for our employees, everyone involved in the process, both the respondent and the complainants, it was always due process. From the get-go, we always stressed due process, a fair process to everybody involved. So as Councillor Antle outlined there, the investigation into the allegations to date is $231,000. That's something we couldn't avoid. We had to go down that path. And then the appeal process made by the two former councillors, that's something else that we had to process. But it's all about transparency. We've been transparent from the get-go. We followed our City of Mount Pearl Act and our policies and procedures. And it's hoped that this will come to resolution sometime in the fall, because there are still legal proceedings outstanding before the courts. There are still some actions with respect to the two appeals that are hoped to be resolved early in the fall. But there's also still some other legal processes that are outstanding. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that the employees and the residents have had to go through this and incur these expenses. But again, it's a cost of doing business as an employer that's promoting and encouraging and developing a safe and healthy workplace. When any complaints come forth, we follow due process all the time. And Councillor Antle outlined, the cost of this particular investigation that we're currently dealing with. So that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Fry.
I just find this whole situation so unfortunate because there are so many other ways that we could have spent that amount of money. But to your point, you know, we had no choice. We had to act on what was presented in front of us. And I just find the whole thing unfortunate.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and I believe I'll make some final comments before handing it back to you, Councillor. But you know, openness, transparency, and accountability in our leadership is utmost in this city. It leads to trust, respect, and integrity. Members of council and staff, we are the senior leaders, the people in this room especially. We don't have a higher standard, but we have to abide by our ethics policies and our respectful workplace policies more consistently, and always have it top of mind in our interaction with each other and with our staff. So when we get a request like this, we're not hiding anything. To Councillor Antle's point, all this information has been released before. It's being released again. You know, the timing is good for council to have a discussion about that. But I would argue anybody who wants to question the value that has been spent also needs to look at the value of a strong ethics policy that we all have to live and work by. And that's where I stand when it comes to openness, transparency, and accountability. The residents of this city have the right to see this information. And staff have followed the ATIP Act, which is our obligation. Much like at the beginning of the process, we followed our policies to the Deputy Mayor's point and the City of Mount Pearl Act. And I believe we've all been true to our oath of office, which is most important to me as mayor, member of council, and a community leader. Having said that, yes, it's very unfortunate, but we are, in my opinion, very good fiscal stewards here in the City of Mount Pearl. We actually reduced taxes. We've put in wage freezes, which hasn't been happy for everybody. It reflects the sign of the times. And for this fiscal year, we've reduced operating expenditures by 4%. We, in all of the dealings of council, whether it's in committee or committee of the whole or public, we're always transparent with all of the expenditures that we release. And as part of that process, we've always encouraged each other to spend less, be frugal. And I know I talked to Director Pittman today. We've often reported small surpluses at the end of the year. This city has never gone over in its budget in recent history. We have the lowest taxes, the best value for services in the region. And at the end of the day, you have to make sure that as you're doing all that, you do it right. You do it according to a code of conduct. And I'm happy that all members of council and our senior staff abide by that code of conduct. And we'll be electing a new council now in late September. And every one of those council members will come in for orientation. They'll come into their first council meeting. And the first thing they will learn is it's not a free-for-all. We're very organized. We plan ahead. We're on point, and we work together as a council. And that's all driven by our culture, the qualifications of all the people in the room, the diversity of all the people in the room, and the standards that are established by the law, whether it's occupational health and safety law, the City of Mount Pearl Act, or the policies adopted by this council, whether they be policies for our staff or for council ourselves. We do not hold ourselves to a different standard in this office than we hold our employees to. So we work together as a team, and I want to assure the public that while these expenditures are unfortunate, to the Deputy Mayor's point, they're appropriate given due process to make sure the process is just and fair. So it's rather unfortunate, but I can assure the public that we are not leaving fiscal management behind. That's top of mind, along with our respect, our trust, and the integrity as office holders that we have. And I'll close on saying that and ask Councillor Antle to sum it up and take it away.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think we all had good comments on that, but I mean, you know, when you bring things around the round table, but you know, as part of finance and corporate affairs, we're always very transparent. Every single bill, when I did tonight, is on our website. We read them out publicly. There's nothing hidden. There's nothing put away. These fees, even though they were released today, they were released every single 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, I get up and explain exactly what the fees are. That's everything for me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Next for the roundtable, Deputy Mayor Locke.
A few items here. The first is a positive. It's a positive one. I was while away. I received an email. It was complimentary, actually, from a non-resident, and they took the effort to, I think, send to City Clerk Lewis there that they were on our walking trails, and they really enjoyed our walking trails. They're very complimentary to our staff for how well they're maintained. And they highlighted our new wayfinding signs. They said, you know, as non-city residents, because we have 60 kilometers of trails, that's, you know, very intricate. And if you're not from here, even if you are from here, sometimes it's easy to get turned around, but our wayfinding signs, they proved to be very beneficial. So I just thought it was very nice to hear from a non-resident just how nice our trails are, because we've done a lot of work and we're planning to move forward for further upgrades, and hopefully in the new term, we'll look at some increased improvements with perhaps bathroom facilities and improved lighting along the trailways to increase the safety. So it was very nice to hear, you know, that we know how good our trails are and we know how good the services are in the city of Mount Pearl. So it's nice to hear an outsider's perspective. So I just want to take the time to compliment our staff, our members around these tables, but also our day-to-day staff that come to work every day to deliver top quality services, not only for our residents, but for our visitors to the city. So that's a good news story.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, to your point, though, it's like, I know many of our residents know their way around Mount Pearl, but they're very proud, by the way, of the new signage.
Okay.
It's clean, it's informative, it's directive. But I can tell you from some recent knocking on doors, I've met some new residents in Mount Pearl who really appreciate it, because if you live down off Park Avenue and you don't know where Powers Pond is, you can easily get there using those signs.
Yep.
So I didn't mean to interrupt,
Oh, no,
but I just
not at
wanted
all.
to throw that out there. New residents moving into our neighborhoods really appreciate them.
Yeah. No, it was good. Good to hear. The other item for me, Your Worship, and this is just a question I'll throw out. It will go back to committee. Just reading, you know, recently in the media about the fewer taxis that are around here. People saying that it's harder to get a taxi in the area. And I'm just curious, and maybe Director Collins can check into this for me. I'm not expecting to have the data here now, Director, but I'm just curious, is that what impact that may have had on our ridership on the Metro bus and also on the Go bus? I'm just curious if you know, this shortage of taxis, and there's a number of reasons outlined in the media as to why, you know, that may be taking place. But I'm just curious to see if that has any impact on ridership or usage of our Go bus. So I'll just throw that out there and I'll look forward to a response later. Thank you, Your Worship. That's it for me.
Thank you, sir, very much, and welcome back. Over to you, Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a couple this evening. First of all, I want to send out a bouquet to our to AMP, the Association of Arts in Mount Pearl. They coordinated a pop-up bracelet snacktivity. And that's where residents can come bring their blankets out here in Centennial Park. And they had different, what do you call it? Beads and strings and things. So people can make their own bracelets. And it was really well attended. It was really cute. And then they delivered a snack. You know, that's so awesome. It's the kind of thing that's nice to have for residents and non-residents as well. And I thought it was just a lovely, lovely thing to do.
It was a beautiful night, hey? A lovely outdoor event. Lots of families there.
It was.
Mm.
It was very well attended, and it was so nice. The atmosphere was great. So a big thank you to AMP for that. Also, I wanted to mention that tomorrow night we're having a movie in the park. We had one on August the 5th, which was very well attended. That was Finding Nemo. And again, residents came, brought their chairs, popcorn. The Esso station right on the corner on your way up sells popcorn. You know, it was perfect. It was a perfect night. And tomorrow night is one of my favorites, is Mrs. Doubtfire. I mean, you could never go wrong with Mrs. Doubtfire, no matter how many times.
Mrs. Doubtfire and Robin Williams, hey?
Right? Like, that's one of those movies you can watch over and over. So I think I think we're going to have a great turnout for tomorrow night. And just before Mrs. Doubtfire starts, the Rock House Band are going to perform at 7:30. So that'll be lovely as well. Doors open at 7. And admission is free, but a non-perishable food item is very much appreciated. Gates open at 7 o'clock, so I hope to see a lot of people there. I also wanted to mention that Admiralty House Communications Museum is seeking an energetic and passionate person to become the chair of their volunteer board of management.
Yeah.
Now, the closing date for this position is Monday, September the 13th at 4 p.m. And I know we have a great board there, and I just want to send a thank you to Mr. John Rich, who is the outgoing chair, for his 9 years of service. And I'm sure we are going to have a lot of uptake on that position. I also wanted to comment on our new Grow Getter initiative, the pilot project. And I was so happy to see so many comments and positive feedback on social media. And this is a pilot project for the spring where the city will prepare an area, and it's a grant of $1,000 to start. It's for residents to come together and maintain green space in their neighborhood. Now, at the end of the day, I mean, a beautified neighborhood increases property value. It creates, communications between neighbors, and it's just so many positive things without getting into all of that. $1,000 grant to start, and then $500 a year for annual maintenance. So we're asking for a 3-year commitment. And if anybody's interested, the email address is growgetter@mountpearl.ca. And finally, for me on that note, you may have noticed that our city has been very colorful with our hanging baskets and our pots. I mean, the flowers, the green space has more color this year. And, I know we have a tremendous staff here, but I just wanted to send out a bouquet to Michael Keller, who is new with our city. And he is a horticulturist. Is that how you pronounce it? Horticulturist. And he has done such a great job. I know that it saves the city money without having to contract it out. And then to have somebody on staff with such talent and to be able to do it, I've noticed the color. I'm sure everybody else has too. And it just creates a nice feel for the city when you come in. So I just wanted to say thank you to Michael, because I know this is his first year with us, and I think he did a tremendous job. So if you can please pass that along for me, I really appreciate
yes,
it.
Indeed. Yeah.
But it's noticed, right? I mean, you would think that it would take a couple of years to see something like that, but no, it's noticed the very first year. So I'm excited for future years to see what he's going to do. And that's it for me this evening, Your Worship.
Thank you, everything. We've had some light comments. We've had some serious, very serious comments. I'll just note that, yes, I'm looking forward to the movie tomorrow night, Mrs. Doubtfire. And I believe we also have Mackenzie Critch and Emily Conway at Centennial Square. I believe that's the final concert in Centennial Square for this year. It's been most successful. I think it's been a very active event. The weather has been really cooperative. I think only one got canceled. But it also engages our local artistic community too, right? By giving them a showcase, and whether it's young or old or guitar players or, saxophonists, we try to provide an opportunity for everybody. It's a series I'd love to see continue next summer as well. I hope council will support it. You talked about the Association of the Arts in Mount Pearl and Admiralty House. There's more directorantal to Mount Pearl than just snow carrying. There's a lot more. But anyway, I digress. But at the end of the day, I look around the table here and I see all the services that are provided by all the departments in the city, and including your leadership, Ms. Burrow. We're very happy where we are today. And I'm therefore going to ask for, before I get too flowery, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn, and that's by Councillor Antle and second by Councillor Fry, and we are adjourned.